All right, guys, gals, friends, family, Steve Patton with General Patton Bushcraft, back with you with another super exciting video. Today's video is season 10 of Alone. This is episode 8, titled Infestation. And boy, was I wrong on the last video. Stay tuned. All right, friends, as you already know, every show starts with a quote from a famous person. And the quote for episode 8, Infestation, is, quote, "Perseverance is not a long race, it is many short races, one after the other," unquote. And that's by Walter Elliott. All right, friends, let's get right into it. Day 35 now. 5 people remain. Taz, Mikey, Alan, Wyatt, and Melanie. And boy, was I wrong last video. All right, they start out with Mikey. It's 40 degrees, and the rats in his shelter have kept him up all night, friends. He's 32 years old from Georgia, USA, and the rats were chewing on his pan, so he decided to make a Paiute deadfall, flat rock, put the pan underneath, tied a string to the trigger, and he killed 4 rats. 30 calories per rat. We see him clean them, and he eats 2 of those rats. Okay, friends, it's day 35. Still day 35, 9:38 in the morning, and the show moves over to Alan. He's 51 years old from British Columbia, Canada. It's 42 degrees. And he tells us that a rat just ran across his arm last night in his shelter, chewed holes in the sweater that his wife knitted for him. So he also makes a Paiute deadfall trap out of flat rocks, makes lake trout baby 2 lure. He uses a longer piece of snare wire as a longer leader so those pike can't chew it off, friends. Alan has lost 41 pounds since day 1. Goes down to the lake to fish, and he's not catching any fish, but he hears a grouse, friends. He tracks it down, shoots it, and nails him with his bow and arrow. Good on Alan. All right, friends, it's day 36, 7:51 in the morning, and the show moves over to Taz. He's 35 years old from Massachusetts, USA. He goes down to the lake to fish. He has no gill net in the lake, friends. A storm has churned and burned up his gill net, and it's not in the water. He's had to take it out for repairs. He catches a lake trout, catches a pike, and back to the shelter, friends, to cook, eat. He make some fish soup. So good on Taz with the lake trout and a pike. And while eating, friends, while eating that fish head soup, he hears a marten. He goes and takes a look, comes running back to his shelter to pick up that bow and arrow, and he goes back after that marten, and I'll be doggone if he doesn't shoot and nail that marten. Good on Taz. That's the marten that's been stealing his fish, friends. All right, friends, day 36 still, 9:38 p.m., and the show goes real quick over to Alan, and we see that Alan killed Scotty. He named that rat that chewed up this sweater that the wife knitted for him around across his arm. He named that rat Scotty, friends. And that night, he just swung and swatted him like he was swatting a bug, and he killed that rat, friends. Okay, friends, it's day 37 now, 8:38 in the morning, and the show goes back over to Melanie. She's 55 years old from New York, USA. Very, very windy last night, and it's windy right now at her shelter at 8:30 in the morning. And she lets us know that she has a whole lot of berries saved up. She works on her fire shelter, makes a nice log shelter around her fire pit. She takes some super soaked punky birch wood and chinks the logs, friends, and makes it airtight. It's looking real nice. It's 36 degrees, friends. She's letting us know that she's very lonely, missing her man, and she starts weeping, friends, and cries for a bit, takes a couple deep breaths, and pulls herself together. So good on Melanie. Okay, friends, still day 37, 11:46 in the morning, and the show moves over to Mikey. Mikey makes a mortar and pestle. He's got a round rock, and he finds another rock with the divot in it. And he's grinding up bones and meat from those rats. He's fixing to make some pemmican, friends. And he's got ground up meat and bones in a bag about the size of a golf ball. So good on Mikey. Mikey goes out, decides to go hunting, and he comes up on a big berry patch, friends. So good on Mikey. He picks up a whole big bag of berries, heads back to his hut. He calls it Sasquatch Hut, and he makes some real nice fruit leather. Good on Mikey. All right, friends, it's day 38, still 7:46 in the morning, and the show finally goes over to Wyatt. He's 51-year-old from Ontario, Canada, and he checks that wound in his arm, friends. He shows us that wound. It's healing up pretty nicely, but he gives it a squeeze, and some more pus comes out, friends. It's 36 degrees. He decides to go out fishing, and that fishing pole won't work too good with gloves on. So he's out there in that cold weather with his bare hands, and his hands are cold. Wyatt has lost 44 pounds since day one. He doesn't catch any fish this day. All right, friends, it's day 38, still 9:42 in the morning, and the show goes back over to Melanie. Shows us her thermals that she has hung up to dry, and they're frozen solid, friends. There's icicles hanging off of her thermals. Oh my goodness. So she's mixing rock, tripe, and reindeer moss. We see her collect a bunch of that rock tripe. That's just lichen growing on the rock, friends. She goes back to the shelter and mixes it with that reindeer moss. And she tells us that rock tripe tastes kind of toasty and nutty. She doesn't like the reindeer moss. It doesn't taste good, friends. She dries out a bunch of that reindeer moss and turns it into flour. Very impressive. So good on Melanie. All right, friends, it's day 39, 8:54 in the morning, and the show goes back over to Taz. He wakes up that morning singing and playing that ukulele, but on day 8, he built that nice canoe. He decides to take it out to go fishing. The water temperature is about 42 degrees. He puts on that life vest, friends, and goes way out in the bay. No fish for Taz. He goes back to the shelter, sets up the camera, and he's acting like he's going to tap out. But he pulls it together, friends. He tells us he's very hungry and very lonely. Friends, it's day 39 still, 3:08 p.m. and the show goes back over to Mikey. It's raining, friends, and he's stuck in the shelter, missing his son. His son is autistic, if you guys remember. So he's got nothing to do. He doesn't like being hunkered down in the shelter because of the rain. And we see him carve a nice, real nice puzzle piece out of wood, friends, for his autistic son. And he fastens that puzzle piece to his dream catcher. Good on Mikey. Friends, the next 10 minutes of the Alone Show shows us it's day 40, and they start out with Wyatt. It's 29 degrees. He's brushing his teeth, and his bucket of water got iced over, friends. He's out there in a great mood, though. He's dancing and brushing his teeth. So the last 10 minutes, they just bounce back and forth to all 5 participants. Melanie, it's snowing. She's hunkered down in her shelter. Back over to Wyatt. He's out hunting. Says it's real crucial not to sweat. Bounces over to Taz. He's out hunting. Back over to Wyatt. He's out looking for berries. He finds some more lingon berries. And the show bounces over to Mikey. He's hunkered down in his shelter. Back over to Melanie. She's cooking moss. And then the show bounces over to Alan. He goes out fishing. Friends, it's day 40, about 1:37. Taz, and the show goes over to Taz, friends. And he's lost 52 pounds since day 1. He can barely walk, friends. He's missing home. And about 3:40 that afternoon, we see Taz tap out, friends. Oh my goodness. And boy, was I wrong last show. I told y'all my pick. I thought Melanie was gonna tap out next. So I had to eat my words. I had to eat crow, friends. Taz taps out. That's where the show ends. And friends, that's where my recap ends. I want to thank you for stopping by the channel. This has been the recap for Alone, Season 10, Episode 8, titled Infestation. Before you leave the channel, friends, please consider subscribing. Bang that bell icon, and in that drop-down menu, do select all, friends. Give the video a like. Let me know who you think's gonna tap out next. Leave me a comment. And as always, God is good, God is great. I see y'all on the next video. Already got a date.